Welcome to the Integration Station. I'm Ashley Michaud, your coach. It's all happening. Lose track. Hello and welcome, you beautiful souls. I've got an amazing friend here, Cassandra. I've been really looking forward to introducing you to her because she's doing this amazing thing of integrating microdosing with sound bowl healing and human design, which we haven't had anybody on here talking about human design yet. So I know with my limited understanding of it that it's even been impactful when it comes to understanding myself, my partner, and my son. So I really wanted to introduce you all to her so that you can see what she's up to in the business world, and also, to talk a little bit about microdosing. And yeah, I'm just going to pass it over to Cassandra. I'm sure, can give an introduction.
Hi, I'm Cassandra, and just like Ashley said, I am an entrepreneur. I am a certified sound bowl healer, and I am just an all-around advocate of self-love, which is kind of how I got into the whole human design aspect, because I wanted to kind of learn a little bit of how our bodies were designed and how we can actually function properly. And I am really big in the microdosing world as well. I actually started my own business, and I right now have over 50 clients that I'm helping.
Amazing. What inspired you, Cassandra, to start your business?
I actually started microdosing a little bit over 2 years ago, and it has completely changed my life in ways that I cannot even describe most days, but it gets your body back to its natural state. So whenever you were just born free of depression, anxiety, PTSD, all of that. And I wanted to be able to help other people to get to that point.
That's beautiful. I hear this a lot, sometimes all it takes is one dose to completely change somebody's mind and career and lifestyle. And it's pretty incredible. And I think that it's part of it too, to get to that point of, I really want to help somebody else now. This is bigger than just me. I was on doing an integration call with some girls that were at an Eva Pain retreat, and that was something that came out. I asked them, like, did the mushroom show you what work is yours to do yet? And they're like, no, but I think that I have to share this. Like, I feel like the whole world needs to know. I'm like, well, that's your work to do.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. After my first month of microdosing, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, mushrooms are going to save the world, and there's no other explanation to it.
Absolutely. So what's been your favorite takeaway from working with them as long as you have?
With the psilocybin?
Yes.
So pretty much my favorite thing that I'm taking away from it is it just helps you to be present. So you don't have to think about the past anymore or worry about it. And you also don't have to worry about the future either, because living in the present is really what is the most important thing in this life. And whenever you're present, you can begin to slowly start to appreciate every little thing in your life. Even the tree that you've looked outside at for the past year is going to start looking different to you, and you're going to start appreciating it more, and you're going to start appreciating even your body more, and every little thing in your life.
I love that so much. I do this exercise called a belief bridge for when I'm doing like deep integration work with people. And part of it is that on one side of the bridge is your present moment. And instead of writing out the word present, I actually just draw a picture of a present to visually see, like, look, this is a gift and we need to accept it. And once you accept it as a gift, guess what? Like the gratitude comes more naturally. So you're like, oh wow, that's right. And as soon as you're present in the moment, even a little bit, it's like it opens you up so much more. You're able to like sprinkle gratitude on everything, like as if it's pixie dust. It just elevates you higher and higher. It's a beautiful practice. And microdosing definitely helps you stay more present and be more grateful in those moments.
Oh yeah, definitely. And going along with that, I mean, even just microdosing helps you to notice positive and long-lasting boosts in not only like your mood, but also your mentality, your focus, your creativity is boosts, your patience. There's so many little things that I found that I didn't even know that I needed. And once I started microdosing, I was like, wow, this is really how we're supposed to be living life.
There's so many microdosing protocols out there. I'm curious, what is your protocol? What's working for you, or what are you doing now?
So my protocol is I do it every other day for a month. And I also do it once every 3 months. So eventually I'm going to get to the point where I don't feel like I need to microdose at all anymore. I feel like I'm getting there. And because eventually they will heal you of everything that you need to be healed from. But so I always say anything past a 0.35 is higher than a microdose. So I always like to start off with a 0.1 and then work my way up gradually throughout that month.
Yeah, for anyone out there listening, there are a lot of protocols out there. I get, gratefully, I am in this space, and people just send me stuff all the time. When they send me their products and however the mycologists are doing it, or the company or whatever, they all have their own individual protocol here. And this is a really unique one. Every other month for a month, that's like once a season for a full 30 days or 28 days. I
Yeah,
think it's,
I do it every other day for a month, so there will be 14 doses within that month.
yeah, nice. And you said start at 100 milligrams would be
A
the
point,
1 point. Yeah.
yep, a 0.10. And I like to gradually up my dose just to kind of get my tolerance built a little bit. But yeah, I've researched it so much before I started microdosing, and this was the one that I really resonated with. So this is the one that I use to help other people with because it's done so well for me.
And working in this space, I'm sure you've noticed that the people that we work with are very much a mirror of ourselves. So I'm sure they're getting great results.
Oh yeah, oh my gosh, every new client that I get so excited to help them. I mean, I've had people that have had anxiety or depression so bad that they couldn't even leave their house, and now they're out enjoying life and making all kinds of new friends, and it's just a beautiful thing to watch unfold.
What are some of your other go-to tools?
With microdosing or just in the whole healing process in general?
In working with your clients with anxiety and depression.
So I always tell them that the mushrooms are always going to give them exactly what they need. So might not necessarily be what they want at the specific time, because sometimes whenever you take your microdose, you are going to need to release. It's a therapy, and it's something that we have to work with as well. So there might be a day that they take it and they just feel like crying or they need to release something, but I always tell them that it's always for the greater good, and it always ends up working that way. And I always let them know that they should also be journaling throughout the process, just so that they can see how much progress that they're actually making. And meditating is so important while you're microdosing as well. And I also tell them to, I think that it's very important to take a magnesium glycinate um, vitamin as well while you're microdosing. And yeah, so those are some of the big things that I say, because you always want to track your progress just so you could go back and really see how far you've come with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a general rule, something, we weren't necessarily taught to do that in school. We were taught to have an agenda so we know which classes to be at. But what about the other important stuff in life? And
Exactly.
tracking, yeah, tracking, using your agendas, your calendars, your journals to track your own progress in life and how it is that you're moving towards your goals. It's been so helpful in my own life. And I even I take them, I get like a new notebook every season, and I put the what I write to work. So after the book is filled out for the season, and I got my new one that I'm all excited about, I take the old one and I go through it and I read through everything. So I really have a deep understanding of what I've learned from this month, what's working in my life, what's not working in my life, how far I came naturally, what I still have to work on. I take the most relevant notes, the things that I really need to work on, and I start my new journal with that in mind. I take anything that could be put towards content creation and I actually make that content out of it. And um, a lot of those journaling pages where it's just release, like you're saying, I burn that stuff. I get rid of it. I transform it into smoke and ash and sometimes I have a cacao ceremony at the same time so I could have some hot chocolate out of the fire that I'm having. So I think it's really an important aspect to not only be journaling, but to put it to work. That way, instead of it becoming shelf help, it really is the self help that we're all seeking when we're going through these kinds of journeys.
Oh yeah, it is so important because I mean, yeah, living in the present is so important, but also seeing where you started and where you are at and being able to go back and actually like feel those emotions that you went through and just be so happy and proud of yourself for how far you've actually come. That is so important.
Yeah, yeah, rewarding yourself or just honoring yourself for the journey, for doing the work in general. I'm not
Oh,
much for comparing, but we can be honest here, outside of the comparisons and just say like there's not that many people that are taking initiative here and doing these things. So even though when we're on these journeys we feel like so many people are ahead of us, just keep in mind your own individual journey and honor where you're at and your own pace, because there's so many people that haven't even started yet, and you're going to be the one that they come to for that help when they are there, and you're going
exactly.
to.
Yeah, I'm so very excited for it, and I love being able to watch how far people have come, and they are so excited to share it with their friends and family, and they want them to get on their path. And going along with what you said about journaling, it is so important also to be able to go back and to be able to actually set boundaries for yourself as well. I've learned that is so important, setting boundaries for yourself, and it kind of helps you to learn how to set boundaries and to really live by that as well.
Yeah, yeah. Can you give me like an example of how you've used boundaries in your own life?
So I used to be the person that was giving, giving, giving all the time. I was always the listener, and I never really even liked asking for help because I felt like I would help everybody, but I felt bad even asking somebody else whenever I needed something. And microdosing has really, really helped me use my voice. And as being a healer myself, realize that other people that want to help heal are loving whenever I'm asking them for help or for an opinion. And it's beautiful to be able to give and receive, rather than my old life. I was only just taking in what everybody else was giving to me, rather than setting a boundary for myself, because I was just wearing myself completely out of that.
I think a lot of people could relate to that.
Oh yeah.
Do you see any coming trends in this field right now?
So I actually was talking to somebody who lives in Texas, and they said that they are actually trying to do the whole microdosing and the Western medicine aspect of it. And I the way that she was describing it, how every single dose needs to be exactly the same, they've been trying to get this right for years. And with psilocybin, it's a little bit tricky to do that, because the way that the fungus grows, and they're not having much luck with it. And I think that people really are seeing how much it could help you, and they do want to actually, start regulating it like that. But that's really the only thing that I've heard about, other than other companies that are doing it in states where you're able to do it. But to actually have it regulated, I think is going to be very a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, I noticed like with the strains and things, all these mycologists coming out, and we've got tons of them in our network too that are working on creating their own strains and just trying to master the strains that are already out there. And I see, because my mom's really big in the cannabis world, I can see how that is expanding even more. But yeah, you make a good point there that it's not that easy to regulate these things. I think what's most important, and one of the biggest lessons that comes from the mushroom itself, is that it's just all about aligning to nature and surrendering and allowing the mushroom to show you what's needed for you at that time. It is an entity in itself. There's this whole science on nutrigenomics, which essentially is the science that proves that food, like, I'm certified nutrition, so like that our food actually talks to our cells and our DNA. And that's why people who are eating like a lot of processed food often end up sick, because they're not getting the right kind of information to their cells and to their DNA. And sometimes it'll tell the DNA to like switch on a disease in the body. Whereas if you're eating whole foods, you get the whole picture and you feel like a whole person. Instead of having a whole list of symptoms, you're a whole healthy version of yourself. And I'm really curious what's going to come of that science when it comes to mushrooms, because mushrooms are more of an animal and more of a human than they are even a plant. So just imagine what kind of information it's giving to our cells. And anybody who's worked with mushrooms knows that there's a whole language there that's being spoken to us and that's guiding us, and that stays with us long term, even after.
That is so true. And it is so, you're so spot on with that, because the mushrooms taught me that, because I was eating meat whenever I was first starting to microdose, and the mushrooms spoke to me, and they taught me that by me eating meat, I'm actually eating like dead energy, or I'm eating the feelings that they felt whenever they were dying. And it brightened up my world to actually eat things that are living, because those will keep me living, and those will, and the living plants and the living food that we eat is actually doing exactly that. It's speaking to us, and it's making us alive. And
Yeah.
that's very interesting.
Yeah, I love it. I'll send you the name of the science. You can look into it for yourself. But I think it's interesting that you and I kind of had the same download a bit when I first got back on the mushroom experience. Made the decision I was going to get sober when I was 25. And so I went to the mushrooms because I remembered from earlier in my life that it was really helpful in that space and just my understanding. And I had been doing other research at the time. And one of the first downloads that came to me, and I'll be transparent here, like I had really an anxious personality type, and I didn't notice that I was had anxiety. Anxiety was not what I was diagnosed with. I was diagnosed with OCD. But if you look into obsessive compulsive disorder, it's just a symptom of anxiety that hasn't been dealt with. So once I acknowledged, okay, it's anxiety, and I was able to help the OCD, now I understand that if I have an OCD, it's because I'm feeling anxious and I can correct it really fast. But at that time, when I first started and made the decision to get sober, OCD was still really prevalent in my personality. And I kind of went a little crazy because I was working with the mushrooms and I gave up meat, I gave up alcohol, I gave up cigarettes, I gave up sex and friends and money. I gave up everything for a little while because I had to get myself right. What I did take up was Kundalini yoga, running, and nutrition. And the nutrition piece, I went really obsessive compulsive with, to the point that for a year, I was just sampling food. I would go to the grocery stores, to the bulk barn, to the farmers. I would order food online, and my whole thing was that I had to see if it would grow. I would only eat it if it was living. So, for
Wow.
example, I would go to the grocery store and get a sweet potato, and I'd put that sweet potato in water. And if it started growing leaves within a week or so, then I knew that I could trust sweet potatoes from that grocery store. And then I would go in and I would continuously buy them and use them in my meals. There was some really interesting things that I learned from that experience. And that was, I would order organic quinoa online, for example, and I couldn't sprout it or grow it. And that I could go to Bulk Barn and get non-organic quinoa and it would sprout and grow. So just for my own personal like OCD, I turned it into an asset because I really learned nutrition that way. And I got to ask a lot of questions and find those answers for myself, like a type of self-education program. Before I even went to nutrition school, I was like, I had the information just from questioning and doing my own science experiments. And it turns out that there are a lot of foods that can grow, like any grain, seed, nut, bean. We actually get 10 times the nutrition just from sprouting it. As soon as you turn it into a living food, you're getting 10 times. It's a big number, and they're all seeds. Instead of saying beans, nuts, legumes, grains, like we should just be saying like eat your seeds, people. Eat the
Right,
living food
exactly.
and bring it to life. It turns out that the reason why some of the organic stuff wouldn't grow is because sometimes it gets sprayed with pesticides on a truck. So it's, even though it might be grown organic, the truck can still spray. And sometimes there's some organic companies still use copper-based pesticides, and sometimes that'll stop them from growing as well. So there are some things to look into, like obviously like eating organic and eating local from a farm is better than conventional for the most part. But it's still a nice little experiment if any of you guys want to just have fun with your kids in that. And when you were talking about the animal products too, a similar story for me was that I gave it up as well. And one of the downloads that came through was that I was feeling the stress of the other animals. Like they weren't very happy. They weren't getting a lot of sunlight, like just conventional meat. And that all of that stress and tension and the hormones that they're on and all that was going into my body. And that if I wanted to be happy, I needed to eat from a happy animal. I did for a while just get animals that I knew were free range from farms, but then I went pretty much like my own version of vegan and vegetarian for like 6 years or so. Like even now when it comes to meat and stuff, like sometimes I'll do a bone broth or a salmon, but it's very rare and it has to be from a really happy animal.
Yeah, and it is possible to get your meats from, a local place where they actually are very, very good to their animals, and you can actually go visit them and they play them music, and they're just happy, happy animals. And but most of the meat that people are eating, it is not the case at all.
Yeah. I want to get back up on, on topic here because I could, yeah, it's like one of my passion subjects, but we're here for you, not me. So let's talk a little bit about human design, and then we'll move into sound bowl healing.
Okay, perfect. So I don't know too much about human design, but I would love to explain the things that I do know because I recently went to a human design course and my mind was literally like exploding with all of this information. So whenever you actually go get your human design, you have to know what time you were born, where you were born, and it'll give you this chart. And the chart is going to give you your type, your strategy, your not self theme, and your inner authority, and a couple other things as well. But this is giving you information based on how all of the planets were aligned at the very minute that you were born, and so on and so forth. So it's very ancient information.
Yeah, it ties into
And
the I Ching, right?
it's what?
It ties into the I Ching.
The I Ching?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
It's an ancient medicine practice. Terence McKenna talks a bit on it.
Okay.
He did some lectures on it, and part of the number sequence is the I Ching. So far as I know, but I don't understand the I Ching, but I know it ties into human design with the numbers.
It would make
So it's
sense
really
because
ancient.
I know that there's a lot. Yeah, I know that there's a lot of numbers that go into it to actually give you your human design. And pretty much your human design, all that it is your energetic code to your body. So literally how you were made, and it helps you to understand more how to actually go out on a daily basis, and how different ways that you can approach things as to how you were actually made. And the human design is only 35 years old, but there's so much information that is taken from ancient times to be able to help understand more. It's based in your chakra system. So I could start off by telling you the different things. Like, so for instance, the different types that there are. You could be a projector, you could be a manifesting generator, you can be just a regular generator. And for me personally, I'm a manifesting generator, and this is 70% of the population. So basically, for me, whatever I speak it into existence, and it pretty much happens. And it's crazy because my whole life I've been very good at manifesting, and now that I'm learning my human design, I'm like, wow, okay, that makes sense as to why I'm so easily manifesting things a lot. And also, your strategy is how you manifest. So, everybody is going to have their own strategy. And for mine, for instance, it is to respond. So, whenever I get an idea in my head, I go ahead and I respond to it and I make it happen. And whenever you are actually living with your strategy and you're doing it the way that you're supposed to be doing it, your life kind of just seems to flow together. And the next one that you get is your not self theme. And that is what you feel when you're not being true to your actual strategy. So my not self theme is frustration. So if I'm not actually responding to the things that light me on fire and bring me joy, then I feel frustration in my life. And that is completely and totally true.
For a lot of us, that might be true.
Right, exactly. So, and then the last one that I learned about was your inner authority. And that's really cool because then you get to learn where you are actually feeling your intuition. So you're going to get a chart and it's going to show you where your inner authority comes from, which chakra it comes from. And mine comes from my solar plexus. So this can help so many people out whenever you're ready to make a decision or whenever you have to think about something to do. You'll know which chakra to pay attention to, where you feel it the most, to be able to help you give your answers to everything in life. So, and I've actually been paying attention a lot to my solar plexus, and I'm like, wow, okay, so that is my intuition, and that is where I really feel whether something's a good idea or a bad idea. And that was really cool to learn as well.
Oh, I love that.
It's a whole new world. There's so much to learn about it, but it's really cool to learn more about yourself and the way that you operate.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely helped me. I mean, like there's a lot there. So I just know the basics. I know what I am, I know what the kids are, and I know what Tristan is. And I think it's helped us understand each other better, but also to help us as parents with the kids too. Like, what are their superpowers? That's kind of the way that we're looking at it. Is like, what's your superpower, and how do we help you navigate that a little bit better? So
Yeah, that's exactly it. The superpower. That is such a good way of putting it, because you really can. And it's very cool that you could know your kids and to kind of help you understand the way that they operate as well, and your significant other.
yeah. Um, so I think we just have a couple minutes left here.
Okay.
If you can just let everybody know, a little bit about your sound healing practice, and then how it is that they can contact you.
Okay, so I'm certified in Tibetan sound bowl healing, and I do a couple different sessions. Like I could align your chakras, balance your yin and your yang. I could also do like an energy cleansing. I could help you with pain management. I learned about this through microdosing, because the healing through the use of sound and vibration is absolutely incredible. Because we're all frequency and we're all energy, and once you get those flowing through your body, you can help operate yourself better. And I'm based in Florida, and I have a website on Wix, and if anybody is in the Florida area, I can help you out. I don't know if you would be able to like put up my website or anything for
Yeah, I
somebody
will.
to be able. Okay, perfect. So yeah, that'll be in there, and you can check out the things that I do. And I do hour sessions with people. I could do group sessions, and I love just making people feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely link everything in the description below, because Cassandra, you got a lot to offer, and we're happy to support you here. Uh, Another thing I want to just throw out there, because Tristan does jam nights every once in a while, and if you want to send us any of your sound bowl healing, we could use it in one of them and be able to support you that way too. Again, just sharing your website in another way, because we love getting the background music, we love getting your guys' art and mixing it all together in this psychedelic trance way, because it's really powerful. The music, sound bowl healing, harp, there's guitar, like there's something about the vibration that is just so healing and so primordial. It's like the sound of the heart, and it's what opens the heart. It's just incredible and such an asset. And then when you can mix it together with like some crazy cool visuals and people's art and how it is that they see the world and express themselves, it's just a beautiful collaboration. He does beautiful work in that way. So
Yes, I love all of that. I mean, sound is like one of the oldest things that we could even go back to. I mean, that's all that we knew whenever we were in the womb, was the heartbeat. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a beautiful way to leave off here. So thank you so much, Cassandra. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Awesome. Thank you.